So I am here with Adrien, who is the son of one of my good friends, Sheryl. We've been friends for ages at this point. We met when we were working together years ago, and we've navigated being single mothers of, I hate this term, but gender non-conforming children together. Adrien, do you want to introduce yourself, share your pronouns, and a little bit about yourself?
I'm Adrien Braun. I use he, they pronouns. I'm a senior at Trinity College, majoring in theater and dance. I'm an artist. I'm a writer. I'm transmasculine. I live in Connecticut.
And that takes away my second question, which is, Adrien, you are at Trinity College in Hartford, correct? I'd be interested to know how you found Trinity and why you ended up going to Trinity.
When I graduated high school, I went to the University of the Arts in Philadelphia. I majored in musical theater and pretty quickly knew it wasn't the right ecosystem for me. I had a hard time socially. I had a hard time with where I was in my transition. And the structure of the school was not set up for the way I work and think. So after 2 years, I took a semester off and then I transferred to Trinity. 6 months after I transferred to Trinity, University of the Arts shut down.
Yeah. That. Interesting. Interesting. Do you know
Yes,
why or?
because they got a new president and there was mismanagement on the inside. They lost their accreditation.
Huh.
I'm very lucky to be at Trinity, especially avoiding all that mess.
Yeah.
My mom's here.
Hi, Sheryl.
Honey, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for. Hi. Oop. Adrien was just sharing how he ended up at Trinity. If you wanted to introduce yourself and your pronouns, everyone a bit about how we met and became friends.
Hi. My name is Sheryl Spivak Braun. My pronouns are she, her. Nora and I met through working together at Montefiore and Einstein. I reside in Hartford, Connecticut, formerly from Scarsdale, New York, and I work as the Vice President of Philanthropy for Big Brothers Big Sisters of Connecticut.
I was just about to ask Adrien, and I would love your thoughts as well. How important was it for you to find a gender affirming school when you were looking for colleges?
Incredibly important. It never felt like an option of having to decide between my education and my gender identity. A nice thing about being in the theater space is that there's already a very large queer population. So when I first went to UArts, I wasn't worried about facing any type of discrimination. And at Trinity, while I recognize it does have more of a conservative student body, I've never felt unsafe.
Discriminated again.
In fact, I have found that the theater and dance major I'm the only trans person in my major. And I think the faculty has done a good job not tokenizing me, but also not completely ignoring that I have a different lived experience than others.
Interesting. Cheryl, what did you look for in a gender affirming school when you and Adrien were looking?
It was very important for me to make sure that Adrien was admitted to a school that accepted Adrien for who he is, accepted him as a LGBTQ person, and had groups, clubs, faculty, and staff that would affirm his self.
Were there questions that you asked of the admissions office, students, or others at the various schools?
The main thing was that I don't have my legal documents saying my chosen name and gender. So the main thing would be, hey, I'm this name and this gender marker in the system, that's not necessarily correct. Call me XYZ. And they did that no problem. And that's been fabulous.
And I would say in high school, when Adrien was transitioning, it was very important for the high school to accept it. Scarsdale High School did a great job of making Adrien feel welcome and included, and gave him opportunities to share his lived experience with faculty, staff, and other students. And I will also add that at one point there was a college that Adrien was looking at, very highly regarded, great program, and so forth. We felt like the school would do a good job, but that the city and the state in which the school was located would make him feel unsafe. So
Yeah.
we ended up having to decline the offer.
That's an interesting point. Something Barrett and I have been really thinking about is that the school may be incredibly gender affirming. However, because of the state of this country right now, the city or the state that they're in may not be. And that ends up ruling it out
Right.
automatically.
And remember, this was over 4 years ago. It's only, the pendulum has
Only got
swung
worse.
more to the right.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
so we were mindful about, say Adrien was at an airport and wanted to use the restroom. Would he feel safe in the restroom? Or if Adrien got sick, would he get the kind of care at the university clinic or in the city? And so we were very conscientious, careful, and concise in our search.
That's something that I've seen and read over and over again, especially the bathroom thing is a big red flag. If you don't feel comfortable going to the bathroom where you want to, the healthcare piece of it, like not being able to get gender affirming care either on campus or in the city or state.
Or just
Sorry,
even
I
at my
interrupted you.
I have had a scuffle in a bathroom before, a transphobic based in middle school,
Okay.
way early in my transition.
In high school,
Oh,
but
Okay.
Adrien went to high school out of district for 2
Yeah.
years,
that feels like middle school to me.
and it was challenging.
Yeah.
Adrien got a suspension.
I got an in-school suspension.
Yeah,
I was
there was a
acting
fight
out.
with the principal. They designated the bathroom for Adrien to use that was completely across the high school, which required Adrien
to have a
like-
key. And if the person wasn't around to give me my key, I just didn't go to the bathroom.
Right. And then it caused him to be tardy for other classes.
Which led to more discipline problems.
Yeah.
But whereas at Scarsdale High School, I will tell you on the day that Adrien graduated from Scarsdale High School in June of 2021, the principal came up to me and said, Adrien is the first openly transgender student that I have worked with. And it was really eye-opening for me. And he was a delight to work with. It was a great experience for the school and the principal and for many of the student body at our house of worship. When they knew that Adrien was transitioning, they made sure to make us all aware that any accommodation that Adrien needed would be accommodated. Pronouns, names, bathroom, everything. They even started an LGBTQ initiative, not just for Adrien, but probably partially because of Adrien. And
So you're trailblazers is really what you're saying.
I'm a trailblazer. I'm a
Yeah.
trendsetter.
Well, I served on the board of my synagogue for the past 6 years. I just rolled off the board. As each person is leaving the board, the rabbi says something nice about them. He talked about my role in philanthropy at the synagogue's annual meeting. In an unofficial role, I can't remember the words he said, but unapologetically been an advocate for the LGBTQ community, and it had really lifted the synagogue up and the clergy.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
It's
And
amazing. Now they have a lesbian rabbi, and it's probably one of the first synagogues in Westchester with a lesbian rabbi.
that's huge. I actually just read about spirituality and religion for LGBTQIA plus couples and navigating that in therapy with them and the importance of it.
Yeah.
One step further, when Adrian first came out and was transitioning, the clergy came up to me and said, the Reformed Jewish movement is extremely inclusive.
Yeah.
And I want you to know that you're in a safe place. The Reformed Jewish movement has started a creative arts camp. And I would recommend that you look at the camp. Maybe that's something Adrian would enjoy.
Can I take over from here?
Yes.
I went to that camp. Was incredibly helpful for me.
Life-changing.
It was incredibly helpful for me in settling into my own body, meeting like-minded people. I still have close friends that I keep in touch with from that camp and that time in my life. I had a brief moment during 2020 where I had a spiritual query, and I reached out to my rabbi and asked, do you think I need to get bar mitzvahed again so that I can be recognized in the eyes of God as a man? We had a very intellectual, lovely conversation.
Interesting.
I never ended up doing it, but it was like a lot of work.
It
Yeah,
doesn't have to be.
but the conversation with my rabbi was really positive, and he recommended me some books, which I checked out, that opened my eyes to spirituality and a gender fluidness of Jewish religion and kind of looking through Jewish religion with a queer lens. Having that support and openness to discuss that made me feel incredibly.
Validated.
Have
And
you?
you'll meet some of them tomorrow.
I can't wait. I'm going to definitely share it with my class.
Good.
So, have you found that type of affirmation at Trinity, which, to your point, is fascinating to me because, and of course, this was my sister was there, and it was known as sort of the, I hate to say, feeder school for a lot of prep schools. And I'd always had that sort of in the back of my mind, more conservative
Yeah.
leaning, but it sounds like it's been incredibly affirming.
Oh yeah, especially in my major. My major is incredibly small. And so the faculty gives a lot of one-on-one time with each of the students. My favorite professor just resigned, and I wanted to give her a shout out because would have wonderful one-on-one conversations with her about anything and everything, whether it be what we were talking about in class or current
Right.
events. She always made me feel like if anyone gives you any issues, you come right to me. I also got
That's
involved.
defined.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was
That's huge.
and I was telling you about my thesis. This professor
Mhm.
helped me start shaping my thesis into what it's turning out to be. And I'm sad she won't be at Trinity for when I get to debut it.
She'll come to visit.
I love
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she'll want to
She got
hear
another.
it, read it, whatever it is.
What's your
Yeah.
class name?
This is Sophie.
I forgot the name.
Okay.
Shoot, the gray one was the sweetie pie.
Sophie is more likely to be around me at all times.
Incredible.
She has become an important part of this project.
Of course. Taking notes.
Exactly.
I want to shout out the Queer Resource Center on my campus. It's a great space for any type of person to come hang out. They do events, they have books, they have like a closet full of clothes. So if anyone's ever in need of like gender affirming clothes, specifically
Yeah.
like bra, dresses, and button down shirts. I also want to shout out Clio, the literary society that I'm starting to get involved with. They're known as the gay frat on campus. It's a solid group of people, and we've hung out and read poetry together. Even though I am the only trans person, it's nice to be in a space where it just doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's the more important thing to note here. You aren't the token
I'm just a
trans.
person,
Yeah,
and
which
I value
is,
my other attributes, and that feels nice.
yeah. And I think that's really what I would want for Barrett, is a
Yeah.
place where his identity is not overshadowed by the fact that he is a trans male. Because at the end of the day, he's Barrett. The
Exactly.
end. So it does sound like Trinity has become this welcoming place for you.
My experience when we were looking at schools was that most of the liberal arts schools in the Northeast were all LGBTQ friendly.
And I think thinking about that right now is even more important because unfortunately, I feel like for Barrett and any LGBTQIA plus student who's looking at schools, the amount of affirming states
Yeah.
is less than 15.
Less than 50 for sure.
No, 15.
Oh,
15.
Yeah.
you got me
Mhm.
there. I think there's an interesting dichotomy because there are quite a few trans people at Trinity who are stealth, meaning that people just don't know they're trans. They keep that very private. And I know how I look and I physically present as a very queer person. And I always kind of knew that being stealth was never something I wanted to do because I never had to do it for safety reasons. And so I'm fortunate that I don't have to disguise or keep this part of myself private. I can be open about it.
I think that's another piece I want to think about for Barrett. I don't want him to hide who he is for safety reasons, which
Yeah.
is why I think finding a gender affirming school in a gender affirming city in a gender affirming state is incredibly important.
I couldn't agree more.
Going back to healthcare, does
Mm.
Trinity, through their health center, offer gender affirming care?
I'm with my mom's insurance,
Yep.
so I get my gender affirming medicine through my primary care provider. I believe it is an option for the health center to provide prescriptions
Mhm.
for students. The health center provides STI screenings, HIV screenings. They have condoms, and I believe that you can get birth control through the insurance. I don't know anyone who gets their gender forming hormones through the health center.
Is there anything else that we should consider or questions to ask as we move forward with this college search?
Does Barrett know what he wants to study?
He's interested in film.
I am sure that wherever he goes, especially in film, he'll be fine. My advice to Barrett would be it's a new chapter. Things are going to feel really weird the first semester that you're away from
Mhm.
home, you're meeting all these new people. Don't change anything about yourself. Conforming to other people inherently takes away part of your individuality. And obviously, we're all Barrett fans here, and we would never want to see that.
Adrian said it.
Thank you.
Pretty amazing. We were on Barrett and I were on a call last night with college advisor.
Yeah.
The guy we were speaking to was saying how great the two of us played off each other. And how it was clear we had such a good relationship. Clearly, you guys have the same.
And I feel
So,
really fortunate. It is so sad. A lot of the trans people I know have tough and strained relationships with
yeah.
their parents. Even a lot of just queer cisgender people I know have strained
Oh, yeah.
relationships with their
Yeah.
parents.
No,
I feel very fortunate that that's not my situation. And I feel very fortunate that Mama Braun tends to extend a warm hand to all my queer friends. And they all know that they have a safe place to go if they ever need it.
I think both my kids feel the same about me, as do their friends.
I've had parents scream at me. Yeah. I've had friends
I
say
can see that.
inappropriate things. And I've had people in different communities kind of block me or ostracize or whatever, but that's rare, more times positive than negative experiences,
Yeah.
including when Adrien had his gender affirming care in New York City. I had friends that came to visit, sent get well packages, inquired very regularly. They were very positive, caring, and supportive.
I remember that very clearly and being so excited for you. 'Cause I think you were at my house the day before.
The party,
I remember
the
Yeah,
unleashed
right
books.
before we moved to Connecticut.
I recall now.
Yeah. Yeah.
3 years later, I am happy as a clam with my results.
I'm thinking about it because I know Barrett wants it. So I'm thinking about it. But I think with my breast cancer history, I want to see about genetic testing and stuff before.
And if Barrett needs or wants someone to talk to, you feel free. I'll send you my phone
Perfect. Thank
number.
you. Thank you. Definitely.
Play.
Yeah. It takes a village.
What else can we answer for you?
I think that is everything. Unless there's
Oh,
something
goodness.
I have not asked you that you think others should know.
No, I think we've got it.
I think so.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. I'm
We'll see
looking forward
tomorrow.
to seeing you